Now, usually I'd be all excited, but I think we need to take a minute's silence for all those CSK fans who thought this might just be a different year. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is exactly why you're here. It's 8 a.m. Welcome back to Wake Up Cricket, powered by Pavilion Picks. You're here to know everything that goes around in the world of cricket. Now, before we get into things, like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get into it.
Now, to revisit how it all unfolded and what that it is about, so Suryavanshi, Archer, Berger demolished CSK. On Monday, CSK's power play score of 41 for 4 against Rajasthan Royals was straight out of 2025 when they'd finished rock bottom in the league before they were eventually bowled out for 127. That total then looked next to nothing when 15-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi, who's 4 years younger than the IPL itself, clattered a 15-ball half century. RR raced the target down with 8 wickets and almost as many overs to spare. The Guwahati pitch was trickier to bat on in the early exchanges. It had spent considerable time under covers, both on match day and match eve, and RR made excellent use of the dampness after winning a crucial toss and opting to bowl. Both Jofra Archer and Nandre Berger bowled test match lengths to wreck CSK's top order. Ravindra Jadeja then marked his return to RR after 17 years with a double wicket first over. Suryavanshi then ripped up CSK's attack and the IPL record books.
And that's exactly what happened yesterday. I mean, CSK, they walked into bat with a lot of promise. With Sanju Samson and Rituraj Gaikwad opening, there was so much hype behind them. And honestly, it's only the first game. So I think the whole, the way I started off the live, I think that's a bit of an overreaction and an exaggeration. If you look at it objectively, CSK batting lineup is pretty good. I was going to say Surya Kumar Yadav. There's Sanju Samson and Ruturaj Gaikwad in the opening slot with Ayush Mathur, the under 19 captain at number 3. They also have Sarfaraz Khan. They also have Karthik Sharma, who's another 19-year-old. They also have Short. They also have Jamie Overton. They also have Shivam Dubey, who's a World Cup winning player. Objectively, again, like I said, it's a very good batting lineup. It so happened that a very good batting lineup was put on a very good bowling pitch, and where it assisted almost every Rajasthan Royals bowler. Jofra Archer got a lot of pace and bounce. Jadeja got a lot of spin from that track. And once you started losing a lot of wickets, it was very difficult to make a comeback. And you tried that with Jamie Overton. He scored 40 odd, but then got run out. Sarfaraz Khan threw his wicket away. I mean, did they actually throw the wicket away? The only criticism I would give is the captain himself. He played a very unlike him kind of shot, stepping away from his crease, trying to hit the ball over covers. Now, you would play that shot regularly, but you hardly see Rituraj Gaikwad play something like that. And then Sanju Samson got a really good ball. Ayush Matre was found out with the short ball. But again, the pitch had pace and bounce. And by the time Rajasthan Royals came on to bat, a target of 128 wasn't going to do any harm, especially because they've been used to playing on these pitches, especially because this has been their other home ground. Jaiswal taking his own sweet time, with Vaibhav Suryavanshi scoring a 15-ball half century. I mean, both of them as a combination anyways work, but the way Weber went about his batting, I feel like it's only about time you see people talk about him getting fast tracked to the Indian team, and then you had Dhruv Jurel score those 19 odd runs, and then you had Riyan Parag do what he had to do to get Rajasthan Royals over the line. If anything, it was a fantastic display of teamwork by Rajasthan Royals, and that's also why saw them win yesterday against Chennai Super Kings.
Now, talking about teamwork, that's what Ricky Ponting is banking upon. Ponting says PBK is stronger than last season, don't think there are any gaps. Punjab Kings head coach Ricky Ponting believes his side enter IPL 2026 stronger than last year, with added depth and flexibility strengthening an already well balanced side. PBKs, who finished top of the league stage with 19 points last season, came so close to winning their first ever title, and Ponting hopes PBKs play better than they did then. I don't think there are too many gaps now, Ponting said ahead of PBK's first match of the season against Gujarat Titans. I saw it last year. I think I saw it was really well balanced last year. I think once again, if you look at our entire squad makeup, we've got the players that we want in certain roles, but we've also got a backup player for most of those players right the way down to our 25th player. So I think overall we should be stronger. Our level of cricket last year was good enough for us to finish on the top of the table, but that doesn't mean anything going into a new season. I talked a lot last year about this team that we put together as being different and being a really daring team, playing a brand of cricket that was really daring, and we've got to start that all over again. With the largely settled side, PBKs did not have to do all the much at the auction. They bought a young Australian all rounder in Cooper Connolly, who's expected to play the number 3 role this season, and Ponting explained how his inclusion helps achieve balance in the squad. I think with someone like Cooper Connolly coming into the squad gives us top order and middle order flexibility, him being a left hander as well. Last year, we had Trian Shara at the top and Hilbert Hira in the middle. Someone like Cooper Connolly gives us a bit more flexibility through that batting order with left right hand combination if we decide to go that way.
Now, there's the reason Ricky Ponting's constantly talking about Cooper Conley, and that is something I will get into. But when you look at the Punjab Kings side, it is very, very well balanced, and he's not wrong when he says I don't know if he's right when he says it's stronger than last year, but he's not wrong when he says it's very well balanced and there's a player for each position in case there's an injury. Because even amongst the fast bowlers with Arshdeep Singh, the fast bowler, and Harpreet Prat, the bowler, you also have two explosive batters. You have Nehal Vadera in the middle who balances things out. You have a lot of youngsters, and then you have Shreyas Iyer, who's experienced, who scored a lot of runs last season, who's consistently been scoring runs anyways in the IPL. So if you look at the team again, I use the word objectively a lot because that's important. When you see the Punjab Kings side objectively, it is a very good squad. It is a solid lineup. But I do when I and this is why I come back to Cooper Conley and why Ricky Ponting's going about it. There is a reason for why he says there isn't a gap this season because there is a gap, and that is Josh Inglis, and that's exactly why he's talking about Cooper Conley a lot because he wants Cooper Conley to be able to fill the gap that Josh Inglis has left. Now, last year, he played a very important role for the Punjab Kings, Josh Inglis, that is, averaging 30 with a strike rate of more than 160. He was very, very important to the squad. And the fact that he's not available this year just brings about a small gap that you would hope that Cooper Conley fills.
Hmm. We can see Ponting peeping from your shelf, and there'd be a lot more
Oh,
quotes
that is
in
true.
there.
Yes.
Moving on to the next story, Shreyas and Gill back in the T20 spotlight as PBKs take on Gujarat Titans. Shreyas Iyer and Shubman Gill, two IPL heavyweights. Iyer captained two teams to the final in the last 2 years, winning the title with one of them. Gill is a leading IPL run scorer since 2020 season and also captained Gujarat Titans to the knockouts last year, having won the title with them in 2022 and helped them reach the final in 2023 as a batter. Iyer scored 604 runs at a strike rate of 175 in IPL 2025. Gill amassed 650 at 155.87. And yet they spent the time between then and now in T20 wilderness. Gill was pushed out of India's T20I plans by quicker scorers in Abhishek Sharma and Sanju Samson, and even Ishan Kishan, who came in from the cold. He played 15 T20Is after IPL 2025 but struggled for form, failing to score a single half century. Iyer has not played a single T20 game since the IPL 2025 final due to injuries and lack of opportunity in India's middle order. Gill and Iyer will feel they have nothing to prove given their stellar records, but Punjab Kings and Gujarat Titans will hope their captains can shake off the rust and pick up from where they left off.
I gotta agree when people talk about, or at least when they themselves talk about how they don't have anything to prove because they've been massive heavyweights for their own team in the IPL. You know how many runs Shubman Gill has scored in the last 3 years, being one of the highest, if not the highest scorer in the IPL in the last 3 years. Even in our rating system in cricket by JB, he was rated 10, the highest for any batter. And even Shreyas Iyer, he's been instrumental for the Punjab Kings. The amount of runs he scored last season, the amount of runs he scored last season while playing clutch. Now, a lot of people do say that Shreyas Iyer, every time Punjab Kings were under pressure, or especially in the finals, he wasn't able to step up. Now, that is a topic in itself. But to score more than 600 runs is no joke over a season. And the fact that he did that is in itself instrumental, like I said. Now, it will be interesting to see if Shreyas Iyer and Shubman Gill can replicate this season after season. You know, Shubman Gill's been consistent. Even for that matter, Shreyas Iyer, he hasn't had a 500 plus season consistently, but he scored 600 last season and I think 300 plus the season before that, but only 100 plus of the season before that. So you would hope that Shreyas Iyer comes and becomes consistent and more than that becomes clutch. The way if he can consistently perform in the semi-final and the final if they get into that stage, and more than anything if he can score against the RCB, something he did struggle against last season was just him scoring against Raz uh, Royal Challenges Bangalore, and for whatever reason it almost felt like it was his kryptonite. There were two group stage matches and then the finals. Oh, not the group stage matches. There was one group stage match, and then there was a qualifier two or qualifier one, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, he just struggled to score against the Royal Challengers Bangalore. And I would want to see Shreyas Iyer do that this season. Interestingly, even though Shreyas Iyer had the season that he did, he never made it back into the T20 playing 11, which is quite unfortunate for him. Which is also why I think this season is a lot more important for him than Shubman Gill if he wants to get back into the T20 11, especially if people are talking about Suryakumar Yadav's retirement.
Hmm. And now we turn our attention to Kolkata Knight Riders and the captain Ajinkya Rahane and his statement. Batter only green. Rahane unhappy, Cricket Australia says KKR fully aware. Why didn't Kolkata Knight Riders INR 25.20 crore recruit Cameron Green bowl in the IPL opener against Mumbai Indians? Captain Ajinkya Rahane, while acknowledging the challenges around team balance that situation has created, kept his response to that question brief, saying, "Ask Cricket Australia." On Monday, CA confirmed that Green, who has not bowled since the T20 World Cup, is recovering from a minor lower back problem, with his timeline to return with the ball clearly outlined to KKR ahead of the IPL. Cameron has a lower back injury which is being managed but requires him to abstain from bowling for a short period, a CA spokesperson said. Cameron is currently rebuilding his bowling loads in India with a view to return in around 10 to 12 days' time. KKR has been communicated with and is fully aware of this information. Green did not bowl competitively for 12 months from September 2024 to October 2025, having undergone surgery on a stress fracture in his back. Addressing concerns about the lack of a settled bowling combination, Rahane said that the side was still searching for the right mix. "I think when hopefully Green starts to bowl soon, the combination will be slightly different," he said at the presentation. "At the moment, we have to see the balance and who can bowl well for us. Batting wise, as I said, we batted really well, but finding that balance with the ball is really important. So hopefully Green starts to bowl soon, and then we can find out whether the combination will be okay."
Now, this might be a little controversial from my side, but I think this news is being more exaggerated a lot more than it should. And Rahane was a bit salty. If he meant that as a joke, I get it. When I saw the press conference live and when he said that, I was a bit taken aback because you're not only putting the player under the bus, you're also blaming not blaming, but you're also putting the responsibility on another cricketing board. And as they should be responsible about their own players. And this isn't the first time. There's a lot of pundits talking about if you're paying so much money and if you can't do one skill set, shouldn't you half the price and all of that? Shouldn't you get a refund? I think it was Akash Chopra or Sunil Gavaskar. I don't know. I don't want to put any name to that quote, but I think that's a bit over the top, no? Because it's not the first time you've seen all rounders not being able to do one skill set, especially after a surgery. And you can say that about one of the best all rounders going around from the of the Indian team, and that's Hardik Pandya. For a season or two, he could hardly ever bowl, but that wasn't questioned. The only question was whether he's a good enough batter to be in the playing 11. But the whole idea of right, so he's getting this much amount of money, but if he's not bowling, I think his price tag or the amount of money he gets should be halved and all of that. That wasn't talked about just because he's an overseas and. You can't predict what's going to happen with a player a couple of months before, especially in the auction. Depending, you can't predict what's going to happen with their body come the IPL. And I just think this news is overly exaggerated, and people are furious about him not being able to bowl, which I think is very, very immature. Now, this might be a take that you don't like, but I just think this is completely ridiculous in the sense that if people are criticizing Cameron Green just because he can't bowl, I think that's a bit over the top, especially because he's coming after an injury.
The couple of things that I want to add to that now, with injuries that Cameron Green has been facing in the last year and a half, I think KKR would have kind of predicted that such a situation would arise and how carefully Cricket Australia players are managed. And secondly, also, was Rahane actually salty? Because it was a very matter of fact response that I am not in the right position to answer it. Cricket Australia would know it better, the
True.
exact timelines of his return. So, well, interesting though, there'd be news around it for quite some time.
Yep.
Moving on to the next story, I am the culprit. And that's what Raza says. The culprit here is me, not Shaheen Raza, on PSL security breach. Sikandar Raza sought to exonerate Shaheen Shah Afridi after a letter from the Punjab police to the PSL chief executive Salman Nasir accused the pair of forcefully escorting unauthorized visitors up to Raza's room on Saturday night. Raza said he wanted to see close friends he had known for 19 years, and Afridi was merely helping facilitate that. Raza repeatedly contradicted the police's account of Afridi's conduct in the matter by Shaheen didn't force anyone, Raza said. My friends and family had come, and at my request, Shaheen helped them come to my room. If these were the SOPs that visitors weren't allowed into our rooms, I wasn't aware, and to some extent, Shaheen wasn't aware either. The culprit here is me, not Shaheen. He went down on my request because it was my close family and friends. I didn't want to meet them in business center. We sat upstairs for 40 minutes. On Sunday, the police's letter to Nasir was leaked on social media. It accused Lahore Qalandars, Afridi, and Raza's team of violating security protocols, alleging that despite being refused permission to receive visitors in Raza's room by both the PCB's security and anti corruption manager as well as Nasir, Afridi and Raza took people up to the players' room. Despite Raza saying that they stayed in his room for 40 minutes, the letter claims they spent approximately 3 hours there.
Yeah, again, this is a very interesting story. Of course, I wouldn't know anything about facts until it's reported, so I don't really know. I don't really want to say a lot about it, but it's just very interesting to me that Sikandar Raza, who's very experienced and first of all an overseas in the PSL, and the fact that he's played all around the world in franchise tournament, would do something like this. I was just very surprised by the entire news when I read about it, and Sikandar Raza taking responsibility and saying that they were my close friends. Again, I don't know how to feel about it because to like what's going to happen if you violate codes, and the fact that both of the requests were rejected, yet he went about doing this. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if they were close friends to begin. I mean, I don't want to say anything. I'm just saying if they were close friends, I don't know why it would be rejected in the first place. And even if it was rejected, even if they were close friends, I'm sure Sikandar Raza knew that if he does this, if he violates, especially if they are rejected, he's going to get some scrutiny, and not just scrutiny, there's going to be some consequences. And PSL in the last couple of days have been making a lot of news for the wrong reasons. And as much as a lot of people, especially Indians, do make fun of it, it's just quite unfortunate that a cricket tournament is going through so many headlines for the wrong reasons. Even Naseem Shah getting a fine, the largest ever fine in the history of Pakistan cricket, not for fixing, not for cheating, but for a tweet or a retweet that I'm not really sure what it was, but I'm sure it was enough for, like, the consequences are worth it. I'm not saying anything about if it was worth it or not, but the fact that he got the largest ever fine in Pakistan history for a tweet and not for anything else says something about how PSL is going about this season.
And with that, it is meme time, and there's a slight dig on CSK's misfortunes in the first game.
Yes, trees will be planted today. Sanju dismissed for six. Ruturaju dismissed for six. Ayush Matre a golden duck. CSK 19 for three. Now,
So
if you
Ayush not
do,
really contributing to it, right? With his golden duck.
yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, that is true with one ball. Now, if you guys don't know what the context is, with every dot ball, there'll be a couple of trees planted in the IPL. Not in the IPL. In the IPL, if there are a couple of whatever dot balls, every dot balls there'll be what 10 trees planted or something. I don't really know. I don't know why these trees are being planted. I don't know if it's being documented. Honestly, I haven't done my work with the trees being planted stuff. But it's just hilarious to me that, yeah, CSK, they played a brand of cricket until last season, and then last season you saw them play a brand of cricket that did not work at all. And a lot of people thought this time around there will be a change. Now, it's only been one game. You're allowed to have a bad game, and this pitch was really, really good for the bowlers. So cut them some slack. But if when you look at the match yesterday, you would, yeah, think about how, right, so this might be a repeat of the 2025 season where they try to score runs, they can't score runs, they get a lot of dot balls, and if anything, they plant a lot of trees. And that's what the entire meme was about. But yes, that's been the news for the day. That's been everything. That's not everything. That's been most of the thing that's been happening around the world of cricket. Because if we were to cover everything that's happened in the world of cricket, I don't think we would end this ever. So yes, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you haven't liked, share, and subscribe, please do that. Help us get to whatever subscriber count that seems best, because at this point I've lost the amount of subscribers that we have. So yes, like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. We will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. talking about the match tonight. So thank you guys so much for watching.